Hey everybody, this is Quinn Curtis with your Irresistible Branding Workshop. I'm so excited to be talking to you about branding, and I want to just give us a chance to get all the technology caught up and everybody to arrive. So go ahead, and once you're here, I'd love to hear a shout out and say that you're here, and we'll start working. I'm going to just give you a few minutes to get on, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our workshop. It's going to be awesome. Okay, we'll just give about 2 more minutes and then we'll get rocking. All right, everybody's starting to pop on. It takes a few minutes with the technology to get all that running really smoothly. So now that everybody's starting to pop on, we can go ahead and get going here in just a few seconds. I am so excited. It's going to be awesome. All right, just doing a quick check. You have just for this workshop to go really, really smoothly, I want to just let you know, below this video, you'll notice that there is a comment section that you can post any comments. In fact, if you see this section right now and you're watching, I would love for you to just type in a comment and say, hey, I'm here, and say your name and maybe say where you're watching from. We would love to connect with you and really see who's here. And then we also have the ability to do a Q&A, which is, I'm trying to see on your page, but anyway, there is a question and answer option. And so I wonder if it's just not showing on my page because of this being my Hangout. But that's okay. Just know that it's there. And then if you do have a question, just type it in the comments. I'll check for it to be in the comments. If it just so happens that it's a part of the comments or, we mix it up, that's totally great. I want to make sure that you get lots of value out of this presentation today. And I'm so, so excited. Well, mainly this workshop, we're going to be getting to work. So if you're ready to get to work, let's go ahead and get this party started. I would love to hear in the comments if you are working on a personal brand, a group brand is what I would call the other, where maybe you have a team or an organization that you're trying to brand, or if you're branding a product. All three of those things have very different approaches to branding. However, all of the information that I'm going to share with you today is really applicable to all of those. So whichever you're doing, don't even worry, it's going to totally relate. So let's see if we're all rocking on our technology on this end. Swear, guys, I love technology more than most people, I think, and sometimes it still seems like it doesn't make things easier. Okay, so I am so excited. Okay, why don't you go ahead and write in the comments while I'm fixing this technology really quick what kind of brand you're working on, just so I make sure to keep this information really relevant, whether it's a personal brand or group brand or I would kind of call it, well, a product brand. Sometimes group brands are cause brands. You're all gathered together for the same kind of a cause. And so, you could see what you're looking at. I think mostly I attract people who are working on a personal brand. And the big answer to all of that is, let's see, I'm all tongue-tied. I'm so excited to talk to you. I have a billion things I want to share. So, not fire hosing, but just helping. The way I love thinking about brands is I love thinking about them in what I call a brand hierarchy. So understanding, just like a family tree where you have grandma and grandpa at the top, parents below, kids below that, with anything that you create, any business, any type of brand, there's always going to be a parent brand and then what I call child brands. Now, the child brands can have a sister or a brother brand of things that are related, but it's important that all of the brands look like the parent. So that's just kind of an extra nugget that I'm throwing in. Just because sometimes when you're creating brands, it can be really frustrating because you're thinking, well, I don't know if I want it to look a lot like this other brand I have, or I don't know what to do, or this should look like my target market. And we'll talk about that more in the workshop as well. Or, we kind of put ourselves in these boxes. But if you draw out your hierarchy and say, okay, these are where things fall on the tree of what I've created, the fastest way for you to get really clear on that is to understand that you're always at the top. And right below you is your creation, and which would be your personal brand. Even if you don't have a personal brand established, the personal brand is always the parent brand of any other thing that you're involved in. So whether it be a product that you've created, whether it's a group brand or any type of other type of brand you might have built, your personal brand is always the parent brand. And so the kids, it's a good idea for all your kid brands to look a little bit like that parent brand, or at least have the same kind of flavor, because as we'll talk about today in the workshop more in depth, you are your brand. No matter what you're selling, no matter what the product, no matter what the group, no matter any of that other, the other little minutia, you and your unique flavor are what is going to make your branding really irresistible. So as you drip a little bit of you into all of those different brands, even if they look different from each other, as long as they relate back to this one head personal brand, then it all fits together really well, and it makes a lot more sense, and it helps you see where things fall in your business organization. I think the biggest problem I see with entrepreneurs who are ready to create an awesome brand is lack of clarity. And that seems super, super simple. And we think, well, it's going to work out, and I'll just take it to my graphic designer and it'll totally work. And feel free to comment in the comment section if you've had that experience. I'm laughing because, oh my goodness, that's the clients who call me. They're people who have had successful businesses and they love what they do, but they have brands that do not represent them well. Brands that they're kind of embarrassed to share their website with, or they're embarrassed to share their business card, or please don't look at my Facebook profile, or they're constantly saying it's under construction because it's never quite right and never quite what they want. And so many of them have tried taking, hey, I want this brand and I want it to be gorgeous. They try taking it to a graphic designer, and the graphic designer gives them back something that really doesn't represent what they're trying to do. And I know so many people that have spent thousands of dollars and tons and tons and tons and tons of time and energy trying to create the right brand with their graphic designer. And what I'm proposing to you today is that there's a crucial first step that most everybody spends way too little time on. And when you skip that step, then it makes all the other parts of your process take a much, much, much longer time to create. So that crucial first step is the brand development phase. So all the things that we're talking about today and working on in this brand workshop fall under the brand development phase. And as you get clarity in the things that we're going to talk about, It's going to shift the direction of everything in your brand, that instead of being bland, like I just mixed up my words, what perfect timing, instead of a bland brand, you're going to have a brand that's irresistible and that totally rocks and feels really good to be in, and it's going to be way energizing and super fun for your business. So if you are ready for that, let's jump on into our awesome content to help us support this workshop. Let me just open that up right here. Oh my gosh, guys, this is like my favorite subject ever. So freaking excited. Okay, so if you are wondering, I am Quinn Curtis, and I am a brand strategist. I have a blast working with brands. I've been doing it for a long time, and it has been such a fun ride. And the reason why I love working with brands is because I love helping people find the very best within themselves and what they're offering and bring that to the front, bring that to the stage. I think that all of us have beautiful ideas and beautiful art inside of us that we're just dying to share. And when you slap a crappy brand on top of your passionate project, it takes the fuel out of your project and makes it so it can only go so far, or it makes it a lot harder on you trying to create that momentum when your brand could be doing the heavy lifting. So really, branding is all about storytelling, and I really I'm excited for you guys to embrace your own brands, embrace your own story today through the content that we're going to be talking about. My journey with branding started a long time ago. I had to look deep in my archives for this kind of stuff. This was the very first brand that I created. It's called createdbymom.com. If you look at it on the web, it is no longer up. And it was a shop that I created for all sorts of products that would help support mompreneurs and be like a one-stop shop for anybody who wanted to support moms to find super cool stuff like these bikes and t-shirts and all these cool things for moms in one place. This brand was so successful that I was asked to be a speaker at conferences. I created this conference called Moms Who Make It that was presented by createdbymom.com. And I gathered all these rock star speakers that came and donated their time. I connected with Wasatch Women Magazine, which was a local magazine at the time that was really popular. And they loved just the branding alone. They didn't ask to see my numbers of my traffic on my website. They didn't ask for any other credentials or anything else. And they just saw the branding, saw the passion behind it, learned more about the story of what we were trying to create with this event. And they agreed to partner with us in this event and gave us an entire, full page spread in their magazine advertising the conference. This attracted rock star bloggers who gave of their time and energy and donated that to help promote the conference. Many of these rock star bloggers have gone on to become even larger rock stars. They're still rock stars, but just helping tell a story of just what a brand can do with helping to position you in the marketplace as something worthwhile and something to be taken seriously. This conference was so successful that I still, it was 2009 when we did this. Even now, I still get people that ask me, oh my gosh, will you ever do Moms Who Make It again? Because they loved it so much and had such a great experience. It all started with a really strong brand with really clear clarity on why we were doing what we were doing, and then crafting everything else to support that. My next brand that I created was Limelight Food Photography, Lick the Pick Delicious Photos. And I did commercial food photography for a while. This photography, I really believe, yes, I took great pictures, but also because of having a really clear brand that looked super professional, that was yummy, that had some personality, I got a lot of amazing opportunities. I was asked to be a speaker at multiple conferences. One was a sold-out conference of photographers. I was asked, and honestly, I bet most of those photographers knew more about photography than I did, but they came because they were compelled by my side of the story, how I see things with food photography and how, you know, to try to get inside of my brain of how that creates. But it was only because I was telling the story. I was also featured in many, many magazines over the course of working with my food photography brand. And I also, this image on the left is an image that is still used by a local restaurant as their primary image. I still see it pop up in my you know, local Groupons whenever they send out a coupon that they want. And so it was something that they have then used to position their brand in a really strong and professional way as well. Sassy Scoops was one of the next stops on this, where here again, given the positioning I had with Created by Mom and the Moms Who Make It conference, as well as my food photography, I was invited to collaborate with this group of rockstar bloggers to create an organization we called Sassy Scoops. This was basically a marketing organization where local businesses would treat us to their products and services for us to take pictures of us enjoying it and then you know, post a review online about their business. This business generated tons of traffic and revenue for the businesses that we worked with, but frankly, I had a fraction of the traffic that any of these other women had. And the only reason I was able to even stand with strength in that group was because I had a solid brand and these women got my story. They understood me and the value I had. I didn't have to work on convincing them of that. Some of my clients in the past would be, you know, just seeing how their brands have been affected from this kind of clarity and this brand development. Kim Flynn is someone that helped kind of nudge me along. She was the one who pointed out, Quinn, you're a brand strategist. You've been developing brands this whole time, because I didn't realize it prior to this. But she was absolutely right. And in the process of talking through her brand and helping her with her brand development, I was a major instrumental part of her developing her tagline, Play Big, Play Bold, which is a really, everybody that knows Kim Flynn knows her tagline. It's definitely very memorable, fits her in such a fabulous way, and really helped her step into this whole new phase of her business where she has just taken off as a result of having clarity with what kind of things she wanted to create with her brand and how to bring more of her unique style and strengths and story into her brand. Another brand that I worked with was Danielle White of DKW Styling. Her husband told me, if you can help Danielle get clear, like, you can have anything you want from me, Quinn, like business-wise, because he was really struggling to get any sort of clarity with her, especially on her brand. They knew she had potential. They knew she had great things to offer, but they were stuck at this spot of how to move into it, how to create it. And so I spent some time doing brand development with her. And since then, her brand has absolutely exploded. And I'm not going to take credit for all of these clients' successes. I just know that their brand development with me came at crucial places in their business, and it helped position them for the greatness that they have now stepped into in a really strong way. Danielle now has over 15,000 Instagram followers and has a very, very successful and thriving business and brand. Adam Spiel was another of my clients who was a blast to work with. It was really fun to work with his brand because he's such an adventurous soul. And so we tried to bring a lot of his unique gifts and talents and strengths into his brand. He is somebody who is a rock star marketing and especially online business expert. And we worked to develop, you know, what kind of brand can help strengthen that positioning and help him still feel approachable like he wanted, but also feel very, very cutting edge and strong. And so we worked to develop his brand, and he's been extremely successful. He was already before, and this just helped just launch him as well. More recently, I was the creative director and did a lot of brand development with a company called Share Success, where we did tons of projects, mainly for print and training to be used with doTERRA. And I was instrumental in helping develop this brand. And this brand, believe it or not, most of the products are translated into 13 different languages and distributed worldwide. And before I started working with them, that was just kind of a dream that maybe someday that could happen. Well, within the time of doing brand development with me, we were able to create that together, and it was really neat and exciting. Another favorite brand, and I think this concludes kind of your sneak preview of a few of the fun brands I've worked with, just to get an idea of some diversity, would be my good friend Heather Matter, who is a total rock star, coach, and mentor, and truly inspiring woman. Her brand never, ever, ever felt comfortable to her. And in fact, if I I would have thought of it. I should have put before and afters for all of these people on here. You would have appreciated that so much more instead of just seeing their glory highlight reel. But their before brands, all of these people were not pretty. Heather's, she knew she liked bright colors, and so her brand completely looked like a circus. It was insane. It gave you a headache, just looking at it, and she would be the first to admit that. But as we worked with developing her brand and understanding who is Heather and how do we tell the story of what she's all about, what she's here to offer, we created a really beautiful, strong brand, and she has taken it the distance as far as with her social media campaigns of really working to inspire people every single day in a very crafted, branded way that I think is really serving her brand in a beautiful way. So what does all this mean? What's the point of all this? Let's get down to business. I wanted to give you a few previews just so you understood kind of my background in brand development and, why I qualify to be having this conversation with you and guiding this workshop with you. This is just a small handful, but just to give you a taste of what is possible for your brand as you get that clarity and as you move forward with understanding what parts are crucial. I feel like most of the time in brand development or, as we're building a business, there are so many crazy things to think about. And so something that you'll love with working with me is that we'll keep to the essentials and stay super focused so that your time is really well spent. A huge motto in my life is to work smarter, not harder. And so I hope that you'll appreciate that. I'm sure you will appreciate that as an entrepreneur creating anything. Complexity is super stressful, but simplicity is crazy powerful. This whole concept of brand camp and branding workshops and jamming with your brand is totally inspired by one of my favorite films, which is School of Rock. And I have always been a rock fan anyways, but this film just really captured the essence of why, it had just brought in so much passion. And so as we look at branding and continue this conversation, we want to be thinking, how can we make your brand really rock? And if you think about any of the brands that have been, any of the bands that have been super successful over the years, many of which you'll see in this picture, they have been successful not because they did music that everybody would like. They tailored all of their songs to whatever other people would like. They owned their music. They found their songs and they sang it. And you can do the same thing. Building a brand around what everybody else thinks and wants is never a good idea. And we could just as easily have a list of one-hit wonders that largely did that on this slide as well, in contrast, versus those who just, stuck with the passion and told their story and, grabbed their mic and sang it. So that's the goal here. With your brand, we want you to help you find your song so you can sing it. So you ready to get rocking? I'm ready. Super excited. Let's talk about some good branding. I love this picture on the right. Oh my gosh. In fact, in the comments, you have to tell me, well, you don't have to, but I would love it if you told me if you are a fan also of the band Bare Naked Ladies. I'm such a fan and have attended several of their concerts. This is an early days photo, and I thought it really supported the concept of what good branding could be. In the 80s, or whenever this was, I'm assuming 80s by how it looks, this would be considered probably good branding as far as it fit the time period. It was trendy, maybe, it was a clean, professional photo. Everything was in focus. created mostly for their target market. They're like trying to really connect with whoever their people are. It's not very unique. We could see this same photo looks a lot like maybe a photo from Saved by the Bell or something else of that era, all kind of that same flavor. And it really tells no story other than now when we look back, right? So good branding is everywhere. You could go to a graphic designer today and you could have them make you a logo and it could look nice. They could make you a website and it could look really nice too. But honestly, there's a big difference between something looking nice versus being irresistible. And so I think that that's where we got to remember, just like he says, rock is about the passion, man. Your brand, your business is about the passion. And so we want to bring more passion, more life to your brand, not by sticking a boring, trendy logo on, but really getting to the heart of how we tell your story. So when we have irresistible branding, I thought Audrey Hepburn, such a gorgeous example of irresistible branding. It feels and it looks awesome. It's just the frame on your Mona Lisa. Like I said, you guys are all awesome. You have amazing things that you're wanting to share. We want your branding to be supporting that, and it really is just framing. You've already got the Mona Lisa inside of you. The brand is just putting a frame on it. I am so not a believer in inauthentic branding, where we are trying to make things appear different than what they are. For example, I just went to Jamaica and hopped off the plane. It was in the customs line, and I took a picture of this, and they made me erase it. They said photos aren't allowed in the customs office. And on the wall, big, it said, there's a huge Coca-Cola bottle, and then it said next to it, "Land ho, happiness ahead." And Coca-Cola has been hitting this concept really hard. They've been attaching the concept of happiness and being happy with their products in their latest marketing campaigns for at least the past 6 months, maybe even the past year. And so for some people, that could be a little bit confusing, right? Because happiness certainly doesn't come in a bottle of soda. It doesn't come in a bottle of anything. And so hopefully they're meaning happiness is going to be from having a barbecue with your family and friends, and oh, there just happens to be Coca-Cola there, but you're happy because you have strong and healthy relationships. Rather than how I worry a lot of people misperceive that branding and feel like happiness really is in that bottle. And when they are feeling empty, they reach for that bottle to try to get a hit of happiness. Our brands, if we're not careful, can be the same way. If we keep trying to sell something that is inauthentic to us or position our brand in a way that isn't truly representing us authentically, then that's a dangerous ground to be standing on, and it certainly isn't going to be irresistible or very lasting. And so what our main goal is let's bring out the very best in you. Let's bring out your story. Let's bring out the important parts, and let's let that be a part of your brand and help bring all the pieces together, which I'll show you more of how to do that here in a minute. So authenticity being absolutely crucial. This is also an important point to notice that your irresistible branding is created with the understanding that you are your target market. Let me say that again so it sinks in. You are your target market. If you try creating your brand for what you think moms who are between the ages of 30 and 35 who have 5 kids and have soccer practice, if you try to create your brand around that and typical demographics, it's not going to be irresistible, especially where there are so many other brands in the marketplace. To really stand up and shine, you get to own your flavor of that target market. Maybe you are a soccer mom who loves dance parties and who has a blast listening to Taylor Swift at the top of your lungs and singing at stoplights or whatever it might be. But that's going to be your own unique flavor versus the soccer moms who listen to classical music and who make sure and pray before they do soccer, or whatever it might be. We're all very different, and the more you understand yourself and your own preferences and style, then you can see how you can weave that into talking with your target market. Really, the story of branding starts back in the dark ages where people couldn't even read, and they, on the store, you know, you guys all know this, just reminding you, on the stores, they would have a picture of whatever it was. So if it was a butcher, then maybe you'd have a picture of a knife. If it was a blacksmith, you'd have a picture of an anvil or a hammer. If it was horses, you'd have a horseshoe. They would use pictures to tell the story of what was there in that shop. So it's the same thing with us, is that we use brands and able to let people know what's here, what's at the stop, what's what's the value here for me, or how can I connect? And the brand then tells the story, rather than how most people do it. They have a shop with a hypothetical shop with a sign that is pretty generic. It doesn't necessarily really tell the story of what they're all about, or their brand doesn't tell the story of what they're all about. So even though they have that brand, they're still out in the streets calling down people and chasing down people to try to communicate the value and why they should come in the shop. So the goal is we want to get you off the street, back in your life, and getting your brand to do the heavy lifting in your business. So I have a few principles that lay the foundation for irresistible branding. Here's our good friends, the Bare Naked Ladies, who, much, much better of them being just totally authentic. I mean, here they are even in t-shirts and jeans, and this is a brand I really want to connect with, right, in this way. So the first principle is that you are amazing and you have gifts to share. When you get into branding and looking at this closely, sometimes the bad thing that can happen, the struggle, I should say, is that you'll start to look around and be like, well, maybe what I'm doing isn't that special. Maybe what I'm offering isn't that different. Maybe people don't care about what I have to say or my story, blah, 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 blah. And we start throwing doubt into it, which then cripples our brand development and cripples our progress. And so understanding first and foremost that you are amazing and everyone is amazing. Everybody has gifts to share. Understanding that you're amazing is humble, as long as you understand that everybody else is amazing too. And I would bet that most of your products and services that you are offering have an underlying intention to help bring out greatness with those that you're working with, whether it be through health or whether it be through anything else that you're offering. And so this is a powerful principle. The next principle is your people need you and your story. Such an important concept that you may not have the whole piece of a pie for everybody, but you're going to have their next piece. You're going to have an important piece. And so to remember that as you're creating your irresistible brand will be really crucial. The other principle is that you already have a brand. Even if you don't have a website, a logo, a business card, whatever else, you have a brand. One of my favorite quotes about this is, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so you have a brand based off of the type of experience people have whenever they interact with you. You have a brand based on whatever you're posting on your Facebook feed. And so what usually happens is what I would call unconscious branding. And then we wake up and we're like, oh, wait, I could be using Facebook for marketing my business. I had never thought of that. I was just posting, what I'd eaten for lunch today. And that, I stubbed my toe. Instead, then you shift into a place where you're being intentional and consciously a part of your brand. And so that's the shift that we're all about. This is Hillary Rushford of Dean Street Society, and I am loving her brand right now. It is one of the most fun brands to watch, especially with social media. She brings dancing into every single thing that she does. Every workshop she does a dance party at the beginning of it. Even if it's online, she does a dance party, and it's just a total blast, but that's so her. She already had that brand. Now that she's intentional and gets like what connects people to her, it has drawn people to her like a moth to a flame, a good flame. The next principle is you cannot be everything to everyone, and you really don't need to be, and that's a good thing. As a perfect example of this, we have our lovely Taylor Swift, who started off in country and has beautifully transitioned into being a pop star, with her fans being even more fans of her now than ever before. I don't know of any other person in history who's been able to make that smooth of a transition. You look at professional athletes and they switch sports or something like that, and it doesn't necessarily always work out. But the real thing is that she's not trying to be everything to everyone. She's trying to stay in alignment with the music that she wants to sing. So if she was trying to be the top country star, but really she loved pop, then she wouldn't be really being authentic. So let go right now that you need your brand to be everything to everyone. You have plenty of your people out there, your clients, to connect with and attract with your brand. You do not need every single person on the planet to fall in love with you and your brand. That would be chaos. That would be so painful, versus working with just the people who are meant for you and using your brand to help draw them to you. The last principle is, no matter what you create in business and in your brand, you want to make sure you stay grounded in what is true, and led by light is the easiest way to say it. For me, that's a higher power, and making sure anything I create in my brand is inspired. That's why I use the tagline, inspired business. I think it's such a crucial part. And remembering why you wanted to create this brand in the first place. Sometimes when we go into the creating our brands, it becomes a little bit fueled by like a popularity game, and that helps us lose sight of why we even started doing this in the first place. And so if you stay grounded in the truth of why you're doing this, why it matters, and what you want your life to look like, it's going to help you, keep your brand in alignment, so that it can support you in living the lifestyle that you desire. Your brand is truly your signature on your life and your life mission. It's like standing up and saying, this is what I believe, this is what I know, and then attracting people to help support them in coming to those same realizations. So I told you I would have some proven strategies for you to go ahead and start playing with today. So I have 3 proven strategies that I think are going to be super valuable for you right away. So if you have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab that out right now. And we'll go ahead and just jot down some notes. We want to make sure that you are getting a lot of, some good ideas rolling on each of these 3 strategies. The first one, though it seems simple, and definitely is restating themes that we've been talking about throughout this workshop, is taking time for clarity. The biggest action item I want you to do is write down, why do I want this brand? What do I want this brand to do for me? It's such a crucial question, such a crucial question. I can't tell you how many clients come to me, or people that come to me, and they haven't thought about this yet. They're just like, well, I know I'm in business, so I know you need a website. Well, why do you need a website? What's that going to do for you? Is it going to create more business for you? Is it going to sell your products and services while you're sleeping and while you're with your family? Is it going to help tell your story? Is it going to free up some of your time because it's going to position your value in such a way that your network will understand your value and respect your time more? Whatever it might be. There can be lots of reasons for having a brand, but to get clear on what's the number one thing I want my brand to do for me, and then map out what you want the brand to be able to have, or functions of the brand to be able to support that. I think this quote down here is so powerful, it's worth stating out loud, even though I know you're reading it. Look at it again. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. Take time for clarity. Clarity is your axe. Whenever you're creating anything, the more time you spend in clarity, the less hassle it's going to be in the long run. With this, understanding there are 4 phases of branding. And I hinted at this earlier, but just giving you more of an idea of what would be involved in each of the phases. There's this brand development phase, which, like we said, is often understated, not necessarily a lot of time spent here for most people, which I think is really what gets everybody off course or super frustrated. The second phase would be design, where you actually are taking it to the graphic designer, your photographer, your video, whomever, your developer, to get it into action. Developer would be a part of the implementation phase. But the design phase, honestly, if you have great clarity, your design phase can be short and simple and sweet. If you do not have clarity, your design phase can be really expensive, super long, very frustrating, and can maybe even ruin your relationship with the designer or the people you're working with. And I'm not joking. And some of you I know have experienced this. And so, then phase 4, when your brand is in action, if you haven't had that clarity and you went forward with a brand that really wasn't part of, really didn't match up with you well, then the inaction part can be super frustrating and long and hard too, because you're always trying to waltz around this elephant in the room that you have a brand that isn't in alignment with you. So in brand development, we want to look at our intention, which we just talked about. We want to look at your style and your flavor. Of course, looking at your target market, understanding them better, which, by the way, is including understanding yourself better and your own processes and how you've come to the place you have and what that's taught you. All of that, so powerful, especially in your marketing language. Having a very, very clear offering, your products and services being absolutely crystal clear. Even if you have maybe something sort of vague, getting for example, I work with a lot of people in doTERRA, which is a health and wellness organization. It's a network marketing company that has, that sells essential oils. And so most people would look at that and they would say, oh, well, my clear offering is, duh, I offer essential oils. And I would say, duh, you actually aren't offering essential oils. You are offering a lifestyle of natural solutions. You're offering a lifestyle of wellness. And so if you're just trying to sell essential oils to people, it's going to be a little bit frustrating. But if you can help connect the dots and help people see how you're supporting their health goals, it's going to get a lot more clear. So clarity that way. What are you really selling? There's what you're selling and there's what you're really selling. In fact, McDonald's is famous for saying that they're not in the restaurant business, they're in the real estate business, meaning that they have they've been very, very strategic about where their locations are based on real estate, based on where are hot areas where people are going to be, and that's where we're going to slap our restaurant down. People may not even love our food, but we're convenient and we're everywhere. So, there's what you're selling and what you're really selling, getting really clear, knowing your why, understanding that, and also having a really strong implementation strategy so that you go to your design and your development team with absolute clarity of what you're looking for. My hairstylist, when I was younger, I used to come to her and I would be like, hey, can you make my hair kind of short? Let's make it kind of spiky in the back. And I just want it to look kind of like a pixie on the side and maybe a little bit like chunky. And she'd be like, okay, Quinn, I am not a magician. I am a beautician. Your graphic designers are the same way, where my beautician was like, hey, if you show me a picture of exactly what you want your hair to look like, I can totally make it that way. If you're just describing it in these vague terms, that could mean lots of things to me. For example, if you tell your graphic designer, I just really want something that looks very vintage, vintage could mean anything. And lots of times we assume that they understand exactly our definition of vintage, but most graphic designers, especially the good ones, they've been around so long that these terms that you might just casually throw out to them about, vintage or classic or whatever it might be, those have a lot more depth and meaning to them than they actually probably do to you. For you, it might be maybe more linear. When you think classic, you think Jackie Kennedy. When they think classic, though, they are going to see the whole scope of design throughout history, and they're going to see, classic things meaning lots of different things. Even like Greco-Roman style could be classic in some definitions. And so your implementation strategy is going to be to get as much of a vision prepared for your designer so that they have crystal clarity on exactly what to do. Your second strategy is to anchor everything in your brand to why. So to do this, one of my favorite activities is what I call the unified why, creating a unified why statement. And this is something that we do more of in Brand Camp and spend more time on. But you can do this on your own today. You could figure this out and it would be so powerful and life-changing. So what you're going to do, you're going to identify the top 3 areas in your life. So for example, I listed here mother, entrepreneur, CrossFit, whatever it might be. For mine, it was mother, branding, and wellness advocate. I spend a lot of time in that world too. And so those were what my 3 areas look like. So pull out really quickly, what are those top 3 main areas where you spend a lot of time in your life and have a lot of passion for, or need to work at? Then for each of those, you're going to ask yourself, why do I do this and why does this matter? So even with motherhood or fatherhood or whatever it might be, being a wife, just being a seeker, whatever it might be, if you ask, why do you do that? Well, because, like for the motherhood example, well, I have these kids, they need to be taken care of. Well, yeah, but you could do that in other ways. Why do you choose to show up for motherhood? Why does that matter to you? And then you look at it from that way, your answers might be different. This is one of my favorite questions to ask people. I think everyone's answers can be so inspiring. And you'll find as you keep asking yourself why, you want to get to the heart of the why behind each of these 3 areas. Then you're going to look at what were the common themes between all 3 so that you can come up with what I refer to as the unified why statement, just meaning that you've unified why you do all that you do. Because all of us have this, and our why is going to be the same. It's going to relate to each other in all these areas of our lives. And some people might call this your life mission, your life work, or something like that. But when you understand why you do what you do, it's going to make everything you do so much more meaningful and help you bring way more passion and clarity to whatever you're creating in each of those 3 areas. So I'm excited for you guys to dive into that. As you figure out what your unified why is, share it on my Facebook page. I'd love to add feedback or help you develop it further. One big hint when you know you've hit your why, maybe you're like, well, this is why I do everything, but it's not quite singing to you. Keep asking, well, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Until you get to the heart of it. And you'll know you're at the heart of it when it triggers something for you inside, like emotionally, in your heartstrings, wherever it might be. And once you've found that why, then you know you're at the heart of it, and you want to keep digging until you get to that. I'm not saying that this is going to take you 5 minutes. I think you could get far within 5 minutes though. So maybe even after the workshop, for any of you who are watching live, you'll want to take some time and just look at this a little bit further. Give yourself 15 minutes to look at this and get some clarity here. When you get your why figured out, it helps make it so you know how to talk to your target market. It takes the salesy part out of any of the energy of whatever you're doing. Just like this quote below here, what informs, like you can educate people all day long, but why transforms. When you share your why and people are connecting with your why, that's what transforms them into being absolutely loyal to you and to what you're creating, and a huge fan of what you're doing. This whole concept definitely is inspired by Simon Sinek with Start With Why. If this is a subject you're wanting to learn more about, definitely look up Simon Sinek on YouTube and hear his presentation on why this makes such a difference and why it matters so much for any brand. And it'll be super powerful and compelling. The next and final strategy for today is owning your own flavor. My action tip for this is that I want you each to create a secret Pinterest board for yourself. If you're not on Pinterest, you can hop on Pinterest. Nobody will ever even know. It's not a place you have to spend a lot of time. But in my experience, Pinterest is such a powerful way to collect images of everything and anything that you love that fits your style. And then you can just open up that board, and it's going to give you powerful inspiration for you to see what colors and graphic design and styles that are a right fit for your brand. This is definitely something that we dive in way deeply in Brand Camp and spend a lot of time and energy. And I have some great tools to support with finding, well, what should I look for in Pinterest? But just to give you a head start, And just to, you know, start giving you value right away. Whenever you see something that you like on the web, even if it's, you know, an Instagram post or, you know, some photo in nature or something, start collecting it, start pinning it to that secret Pinterest board, and you'll be surprised as it starts to come together, even if things don't seem like they're very related. Allow yourself to have things in there that are incongruent, because you'll see that it is in the dichotomies that you are interesting and that gives you that unique flavor. So don't try to pigeonhole yourself into one style or one way. Pin it all, look at it all as one whole, and then start making some design decisions. So powerful. So to give you a head start in that, I just wanted to refer you to my Pinterest boards, pinterest.com/Quinn Chic. These are great places for you to start. As you can see, I have over 950 different color inspirations, tons and tons of swatches, things from nature that would give you great ideas if you just took some time in each of these 3 boards, my graphic design and web design inspiration boards. That would give you a great head start of what you like in each of these areas, so that you can really start to paint this really clear picture of what your unique flavor actually looks like in your business and in your brand. I'm so excited for you guys to start doing this. This changes the attitude from, like, you know how sometimes it happens where you're seeing something online, maybe you see like some entrepreneur's cool website, and before you'd have this little green envy come up and you're like, oh, if only I had a website like that. They suck. I hate them now because they have a better website than me. You know, that little, like, I don't know, teenager part of all of us. But when you're collecting things this way, you're like, oh my gosh, they expressed this part of me so beautifully, and I never thought of pulling it together like that. I really love that. And you can be inspired what everybody is creating instead of expired, exhausted or frustrated by feeling like you are less than, and just allowing your brand development process to happen as it needs to. If you are choosing to take on a personal brand at this time, just know that is one of the bravest endeavors professionally that you can ever do. Personal brands aren't something that necessarily come super easy. And usually we're the last person to understand our personal brand, and the people outside of us have a lot clearer idea, or think they do. But lots of times too in our lives, we get stuck in ruts with our, the color choices that we wear, or our home style, or the kinds of life that we lead. And it's maybe not a true representation of who we really are. And so even then, this brand development, allowing it to take shape, allowing all the pieces to come together and playing with it, is going to be such a time saver and such an energizer for your brand to be created and be absolutely irresistible to your target market. And it's going to be way more fun for you because the colors will be energizing, the graphic design will be fueling you, and you'll love how it looks. It'll feel so good, and your website will be like, oh, please go visit that. I would love for you to spend some time there, which is really the goal that we're all after if we have a web presence, right? And so even if you're not building a website, if you're doing social media or you have a group branding, all of these things come into play. If you're creating a product brand or a group brand, create a secret Pinterest board for that brand and start pulling what are the colors, what's the graphic design, what's the web styles, what are the influencers that are inspiring for this brand, and let that Pinterest board help it start to take shape for you. And you'll find that it will help you come in with such a clearer vision of exactly what your brand gets to look like. It'll be so much more fun. I'm excited for you. So if you want to go deeper in brand development, I did want to just quickly, in the last few minutes, just give you an overview of what is involved in the brand camp that I'm offering online starting February 23rd. It is a 1-week opportunity for you to have daily jam sessions with me and be involved in expert brand development every single day. So each day is broken down, and you'll have a jam session, as well as you know, some worksheets and things that will support you in taking action right away on your brand. My goal for you is, if you really gave, I would say, if you did, you know, including your jam session, that you gave yourself maybe 60 to 90 minutes a day to really work on your branding homework for the day, you are going to be amazed at what's going to happen by the end of the week and the kind of clarity you're going to walk away with. You're going to feel like, holy cow, I can totally hire a graphic designer. I'm not terrified that that will be a waste of money, because I know what I'm looking for, and I'm empowered. And so, just to give you a quick overview, the days, the first day, we're looking at intention a lot more deeply. We're getting super clear on your business and your brand creation plan, and executing some stress-free creation strategies so that you're off to the right, you know, the right step. Maybe that's the right word. My mind went blank for that word. Oh, well, that's so fun. Day 2, we're going to go deep into style, looking at your flavor, developing that more. This is going to be a big Pinterest day, and we're going to have lots of great support to help trigger, you know, exactly what things to be looking for and what things help tell the story of your style, and you know, how that relates with colors, graphic design, photography, all of the above. The third, we're going to have a day of clarifying. This is especially going to be highlighting what I call the peacock principle, which is all relating to attracting your target market, really diving deeper on who they are and what the pain is that you're solving. Peacocks are my favorite birds ever. I'm a huge bird fan, but I love peacocks. And what's fascinating about peacocks is they don't really do anything except for look beautiful. Like, if they want to attract a mate, they just stick up their tail feathers, and then the peahens come, and, well, ideally, right, when it's the season for that, then they come and they hook up and they have babies, and it's awesome, right? So same kind of a principle. Well, maybe not the having babies part. We're taking that analogy too far in that frame. But peacock principle, meaning that let's get your brand in place. Let's get everything super clear and polished up and tightened up so that you're ready to just simply stand in the message and the gifts and the passion that you have, and have that attract the people who are meant to work with you and who you are really excited to serve. Day 4, we're going to be talking all about language, especially how to talk about who you are and what you do. It's a major place where a lot of us get really tripped up, and such an important day. This is all about you know, buzzwords for your brand, what kind of marketing language is going to be really compelling and help tell your story. And we're going to go deeper with this unified why concept, seeing how to actually really apply that and start using that in a much stronger way. Day 5 is all about integration, getting you on stage and rocking, taking it from vision to creation. We're going to be talking about a lot of, you know, how logistically, how to find rock star designers and developers, things to look for, things to watch out for, good branding and design hacks. Like, spoiler alert, there are so many great branding and design hacks right now that are going to make your irresistible brand creation so much more affordable and way more fun. So just know that that's totally out there. This does not have to be a big, huge, thousands of dollars design investment after you're done. Ideally, you're clear enough that you can choose whatever kind of design you want, and I'll help you understand what things specifically you would want to hire a designer for versus what things you could do on your own, or you could, you know, do without, quite frankly. There's a lot that could be done. And then also looking deeper at photography. So if Brandcamp is something that you would totally be served by at this time, I would invite you to go check out brandcamp2015.eventbrite.com. I would love to give you all a discount code for that if that's something that you're interested in. And I will be sending that out right after this presentation. I'm super excited for you guys to take advantage of all that clarity. And I mentioned that I was going to have a free fun gift for you guys. My sweet assistant, she already sent it out to you. So a lot of you already have it in your inbox. But let me see if I can grab a screen show you on my screen. Oh, maybe not. Okay, that's okay. But basically what it is it's a marketing calendar so that you guys can start being super intentional with your brand and how you're executing it, especially in social media, which does, I say social media, but it definitely includes your blog and email. And so I hope you'll love it. I've been really researching marketing calendars right now and how to execute those really effectively. And this one I think is going to be so fun for you guys because you can look at exactly the types of messages you want to be sharing on any given day, promos that are coming up for events you have or products that you're selling, and you can quickly make note of which social media channel you want it to go out on. So be sure to check out that link in your inbox and enjoy that. That's just a super fun gift, something I am like crazy excited to execute in my own brand, especially as I'm working on breaking into other social network platforms. It's so smart to be intentional. So I hope that you've got some great starting points for your brand, that you're ready to get some more clarity, that those 3 main areas that we talked about today are going to really help propel your brand forward and help you step into more irresistibility. And so with that, I am so grateful for each of you attending and really excited to jam with you in the future, especially those who are choosing into Brand Camp. It's going to be a blast and a really, really powerful week that will save you tons of time and energy. And did I mention it will be a blast? So thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to hear feedback on what you learned, or if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm really excited to support you in your development of your irresistible brand. Have an amazing day, and we will see you guys soon.